real food. You know, in my opinion, there's nothing better than a great bowl of soup on a cold, crisp day. And every culture has a tradition of soup that not only warms the body, but uses all kinds of ingredients to blend into one. Soup's part and parcel of every culinary experience, really. And our chef today is going to share about this basic and wonderful part of cuisine. And additionally, we'll meet a couple who are committed to their parish and to a wonderful organization that's associated with food and raising funds for the Catholic Church. With us today is a very talented chef with over 20 years of culinary experience, honing his talent all over the country. He's now the owner and chef of New York Soup Exchange, where he makes all his soups fresh daily. Please welcome Ken Kaplan to Real Food. Welcome, Ken. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I tell you, first things first, how did you get involved in soup? Because this is what you're doing now, but you have lots of other experience, right?
Of course. My first chef's experience out of culinary school was in Boston, outside of Boston, and big soup country, and I jumped into it both feet and did well with it.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
And I think soup has become an extremely popular food, but also, like, people going someplace to purchase soup is a big deal now, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I have a soup restaurant.
But you do really well with that, right? I mean, that's a very popular thing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I think it, primarily maybe kicked off by the Seinfeld episode with the soup salesperson, right?
I think I saw that once.
You might have seen that, or you might have heard that 1 or 5 million times.
Maybe.
Right? Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, you know what I think too? Sometimes soup's intimidating for people, you know?
Of course.
Because it seems like, oh, there's a lot of little things. And what I find is when we can get over the intimidation, it's kind of not so bad, right?
Of course. It's very diverse too. You can put as little ingredients as you want in things. If you're over intimidated, use less ingredients. Use what you like.
Right.
You don't have to use a recipe should be a guideline, not a concrete word. If you like something, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it.
Now, what about, like, did you come from a family where this was very popular, like cooking?
It's funny. Yes and no. My dad had heart disease. He actually died of heart disease young. So boiling products are a much less fattening way of cooking it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a nice way of cooking, and so I've tried to learn about the bean cookery and rice cookery and all when I was young. So I wouldn't say I came from a solid cooking family, but you learn through experience.
And via the health issue too, as well.
Sure.
And soup really is healthy. It can be.
Right?
Be very
good.
Can be very healthy, right?
Yes.
Because I know, like in the Italian tradition, the beans that we have and all the fresh greens, the escarole and all of that can be very, very healthy, right?
Of course, it can be.
Yeah.
And I try to always have some low fat menu items every day, but it seems that people like to think about low fat and they still gravitate to the cream of broccoli with cheese.
I was just going to say, lobster bisque and all of that, and there's really nothing quite like that.
You can only bring a horse to water, you can't make them drink.
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do with us today? Because you have some great fresh ingredients. I'm kind of excited. I'm a soup lover, so and a lot of people have told me about your place. I haven't been there, and I apologize for that, but a lot of people.
It's not very far.
It's close to the studios,
yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
So I have to come and visit. I definitely have to come and visit and
pleasure.
Come in and just place my order and then move to the side like that, right? You've probably seen that a million times too, right?
I don't play that. I'm the soup nicey.
Nicey. You're the nice man to come visit.
Yes.
So what are you going to make?
Well, my heritage, my dad was from Texas. I was an executive chef in Texas for many years. I went to school in Texas, so I do a lot of Mexican in my repertoire. Actually, Tex-Mex Mexican, not the true Mexican is more California Mexican. I do a Tex-Mex Mexican, more red than green.
Okay,
so we'll be doing a staple Texan dish today, a King Ranch chicken.
Wow.
It starts being very low fat, and then we throw a little fat in there, not too much.
We have a little action at the end, right?
A little action,
That's good.
And then we're going to do some beans, some nice pinto beans with that.
Oh, beautiful.
Again, starting low fat, throwing a little bacon in it, but trying to keep the premise on low fat.
On low fat and healthy. Now you have like a pot here that's going. You have some chicken stock.
That's chicken stock, good chicken stock.
So that's what you're basically starting with, right?
That's you said before people are intimidated by soup. Escoffier, a real chef from France, first person to put a restaurant in a hotel, said that stock is the base of everything good. You start with good stock, you're going to have a good product. You start with an inferior stock, that's the essence of everything. Yeah, I make a very good stock. If you look, there's very little sheen to it. I try to take the fat out of it. Yeah. Exactly. The fat, all that stuff takes away from the product.
And has a great aroma too.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where it starts from. You start with a good stock, and you can buy decent stuff in the supermarket. You can make your own through Bones. It takes a long time, but
Sure.
just look for the low sodium stuff and basically a paste. If you're using a soup base, a paste as opposed to a powder. Powder is typically salt, a lot of salt. The paste is more real ingredient. The chicken, the beef, the
One of the things I
fish.
heard about chicken is the first ingredient too. If you take a
Has
look,
to,
right?
Has to be. Well, that's why you're going to see that in a paste, whereas the powder is for first ingredient is salt.
Salt
or
all the time.
MSG, or
Yeah.
right there, you can tell right off.
All right, well, let's get busy. Where do we start?
If you would,
Let me get a knife. I think I need a knife anyway. Do you have a knife with you?
I do, but
Okay.
I think you like your own.
Yeah, I have this nice, fancy, cheap one that I use all the time.
Hey, whatever works.
So what do
know?
you need me to do?
Okay, if you would, the tortillas need to be cut.
All right, I'll do that.
Fine, in half, and then we call it chiffonade, and a ribbon-like cut. Doesn't have to be exact. No
Well, you know
problem.
what? Why don't you do some with me? This way I make sure I know what I'm doing, because
Okay.
I'm kind of, you're scaring me here, chiffonade and all
You know
of
what?
this.
I'm gonna flavor the stock real quick.
Okay, yeah, why don't you tell people what you're doing, and I'll kind of
Have the stock going, just a basic chicken stock. I'm gonna, what I call, I hope you don't take offense to this, I'm gonna give it a Mexican baptism.
No, that's all right.
And
That's
make
fine.
it into a chili stock.
Am I doing okay?
Oh, that's perfect.
That's what you want?
Perfect.
All right, good.
It's gonna dissipate anyway.
Maybe I can get a summer job. That'll be good.
Internship.
All right, I'll take it.
Non-paying, right?
Well, that's how it goes around here, so that's probably how it is there.
I use a high-quality chili powder. I make my own. I blend my own. What you get in the store, again, is not the best quality. You pay more, you get better. I use a 5-blend chili powder that we do make in our own restaurant. And I'm just going to flavor this up. Little is better than more. Less, you can always add more. You can't take it away. Chili powder, a little cumin,
Now,
ground.
cumin is a real earthy kind of...
It's a seed, ground. It's very indicative of Mexican cooking. It's actually used in a lot of different Middle Eastern and Mexican cuisine, but take a smell of that. That's wonderful.
Wow, yeah, that really does smell beautiful.
And
Wow.
then good granulated garlic. I use granulated garlic because it dissipates well. The powdered stuff doesn't, and you'll have clumps of garlic, which
Now,
we
what
don't
do you
want.
think? Like, how do you find good, ingredients like this? Like, if
Go
you
to a better market.
Yeah, you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to know too.
Now, if you want to smell that,
Yeah, I'm already getting it.
Yeah,
I mean, you can
yeah.
just get it right over here. It's
that's
terrific.
that's what happens. I'm going to
beautiful.
throw the carrots in first because that's going to take the longest to cook.
Okay,
Excuse
so
me, please.
Now you're just using regular...
Regular carrots cut. The thing about cutting in anything, uniformity, it's going to give it an even cooking time. If you have big pieces and little pieces, the little pieces will die and the big pieces will be too big. So we're going to... Uniform size is very important in cooking.
Now tell me, like, how many, gallons of this stuff you make in a day, Ken?
A bunch.
I mean, like, in a grand total way, I mean...
Well,
I mean...
my soup, my restaurant is seasonal, so I do much better, obviously, in the cold weather
Yeah.
than I do the warm weather. The carrots are going to take the most time to cook. The chicken is next.
And then we'll just, this way we can do the TV move-along act, we'll get it going.
You tell me
this
what
way.
to do. Just
we can get it
Give
in
me a
if you
kick
can.
when you need to.
How about onions? What should I do with this?
Okay. The onions, cut, dice
Just
small.
dice them up,
Yes.
right? Okay.
You got to be careful with those jalapenos. I'll tell you about those later.
Yeah, I got to get a little glove on for that because I know that can be nasty,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
But the other question I wanted to ask you, you're over by St. Joseph's in Garden City over there, and I was wondering if any of my priest friends go over there to have a little bite with you.
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
Oh, good.
I have fed the St. Joseph's children for 10 years now.
Have you really?
A lunch program that I have with them. I feed them twice a week. I feed
Wow.
them, obviously, chicken noodle soup because that's what the kiddies
Kids
like.
just love that, sure.
And then I also, one day, and then another day, I feed them a choice of macaroni and cheese, pasta marinara, and pasta with butter sauce. All meatless. I did that because
That's great.
I did that because of Lent. During Lent season, I used to have the chicken on Friday, and then it's funny because I had to mention them. You can't really. You're right. So we switched it, and we did the chicken on Mondays, and the Fridays we had the Lentulus.
So you were helping teach Catholic education in a sense, right?
Listen, I do what I have to do.
Right.
I feed a lot of different denominations. I try to know Muslim dietary laws, Jewish dietary laws, Catholic, whatever I got. Listen, I feed people. I have to be knowledgeable and
to learn about that is probably terrific too. I mean, that's a big help because you know your customers too, and where you are is a very diverse area, really, right?
very, very much. Well, in the workforce, the living people are pretty much, I would say predominantly Roman Catholic or Protestant.
Yes, for the most part.
Yeah,
right.
But the workforce is very,
they're from
especially civil servants,
Yes,
and,
sure.
and the lawyers and the doctors and all of there's very, very different.
Now, I got these onions going now. Now, I know I need to get a little piece. I got it over here, a little piece of equipment for these jalapenos, right?
Yes, jalapenos have an oil on it that can be very not fun. If you touch your eyes, your scalp,
Yeah.
not
No,
fun.
I've been there and I've done that, and it's horrible. Even if you get it on your hands,
Yeah.
it stays a long time, this oil. So
Now, jalapenos are what are going to give this the most heat. You tell me how much you want heat, and I'll tell you how many jalapenos go.
well, I'm sort of like
all, you want to cook them? You want to cut them all?
that would be. I think that would be like
Overkill?
explosive, perhaps. I don't know. What do you think? Would that be all right, or that's too much?
My dad was from Texas. I can do
Heat
more
doesn't
than
scare
that.
you, really? Heat doesn't scare you? Well,
I
you know what?
love heat.
I'm game. Now, did the onions go in now or no?
No, that's for the next ingredient.
hold on. That's the next ingredient?
Yeah, that's for the next yes, the next menu item.
So now, do I keep
No,
the?
no. I'm
'cause
sorry.
I was going to rib them.
You can
Or
if you
keep
want.
them, or leave it in.
I like just slicing them down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, this way, like.
Yep.
Okay.
Thin as you can, if you can.
I'm going to try my best.
The seeds are where the heat comes from.
Yes, I do know that. Oof.
I would say do 3. That'd be fine.
Okay. Because we'd like to be able to taste this in the end.
Oh, come on. Little heat never hurt anybody. And you know, the funny thing about heat is the more you eat it, the higher your threshold becomes for it.
Yes, it does. It's funny how that happens because I remember that as a little kid, growing up in an Italian house, having crushed red pepper is kind of part and parcel of what we do.
Exactly.
And it does kind of, you kind of get used to it after a while. Now, do you leave them whole? Is that what I did wrong? I cut it in half? You leave
Either
them
or.
whole?
No, but see, now you cut them in half, keep them cutting in half, because you want uniformity.
So they have kind of a uniform look.
Exactly.
All right, this is good. Now, everything's kind of getting poured in, and that's the other thing I like about soup is it's kind of a one-pot experience. There's lots of chopping, but...
You know, the funny thing is that when I first looked into soup, most of the recipes say saute, like a chowder, saute this and
Yes,
in
yes.
bacon and do all that other stuff and a lot of fat, a lot of fat.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of fat. You could boil things whereby getting the flavor of the stock into the ingredient and getting the flavor of the ingredient into the stock. So there's no reason, again, health issues, boil it. Just throw it in and boil it.
Slow but sure,
That's
yeah.
a great cooking vehicle, so why not use it?
Now-
and also, then you got to take everything out, then you got to put this. This way you can
Yeah,
throw
it
it
gets
in.
too involved, right?
Exactly.
I should leave one glove on to help you put this in, maybe, huh?
That's not, yeah, if you would.
Now,
No,
what-
actually, I could use a knife and just throw
You
it in.
okay? The other thing I was thinking is that I know you give back a lot to the community because our guests who are coming in a few seconds to taste all of this told me that he's a very generous guy to the community too. You must be asked a lot of times to help out different charities.
Well, I do. I donate time. Last year I opened another restaurant. Took a little time away from me, but before that I was donating a lot of time to the inn at Mary Brennan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
In Hempstead.
Sure.
I donate as much as I can to Island Harvest.
Yeah, they're good friends
And
of ours.
I try to do as much as I can for St. Joe's and St. Anne's. Actually, I feed 2 Catholic schools in Garden City, St. Anne's and St. Joe's.
Wow, that's
So I
terrific.
try to do it.
So the kids love you too about that, right?
They always make fun of my pants though when I go in there.
Well, yeah, great. Those are great pants.
These
Why
are
don't you-
chefs. I don't know if you can see the chefs
Yeah.
on unicycles.
That's great. That's cool.
You know what? Through my cooking, when I was a cook, I always had to wear checks, and I always hated checks.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I
you
said,
mean.
you know what? When I own my own restaurant, I'll wear what I want to wear.
And the kids love that, I bet, right?
Well, they make fun. I have other ones with chilies on it and things, and they tend to make fun of it. But you know, I tell them I'm not wearing plaid. So
That's right. So you got away from that. All right, we're going to let this soup go. We're going to take a little break, but when we get back, the soup will be done. My friends will be here. Jim Gorman and his wife will be here, and we're going to have a wonderful tasting treat of some delicious food. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.